Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Timeless Podcast here again, back for episode 47, I want to say. I think that's where we're at now. Here, and I'm joined by Beef. Hello, Beef. How are you?
Good evening. Yeah, it's been quite a while. It's
I
wow.
think
It's hard
Garth
to think
Marenghi's,
actually.
I think it was Garth Marenghi. I think that's the last time there was a one-on-one. Or I think you've only been on two episodes. I think you've only done Paul the Dark
No,
One and Garth Marenghi.
we've done two Thors, and oh no, sorry, no, how didn't I do both Thors?
No, you didn't do the
Captain
first one.
America,
You did Captain
didn't I?
America. No, so the last one we did. So you did Captain America, then you did Thor: The Dark World, and then you did Garth Marenghi. So it hasn't been since the Garth Marenghi's Dark Place podcast, even on a solo podcast.
So out of a grand total of 47, which is that's a fair number actually to think that you've got this far in the space of a year really.
Yeah,
It's almost a 16th really.
yeah. 16th of Beef.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, you don't get much like that in the shops, do you?
No, and when you include the watch longs, things like that, it's obviously a higher percentage.
Oh yeah,
Um,
don't get me wrong. That's punishing schedule enough.
yeah, absolutely. I mean, the punishing in a sense because you do love a beverage, as we all know.
I work hard, I play hard, and yeah. My downtime at the moment, is my downtime. I've got to take the most out of it that I can. To be honest with you, so
Yeah,
yeah,
why
that's
not? Eh?
what So yeah, I'm doing what I can, getting
I
by.
also,
It's not
yeah,
hurting anyone.
no.
Well, apart from my liver, but yeah.
Yeah, maybe your liver
Yeah,
will have something to say about that,
I've
you know?
done all that sort of stuff. Yeah, whatever.
Yeah. Well, I also want to say a huge congratulations because on the weekend, Attack the Block was a thing that you and a bunch of the friends of the show, Adam, Owen, and John,
Yeah, it's
worked on, and obviously that was a great success.
I can't take full credit for it. Adam, Mr. Mamoon has done a fantastic amount of work behind the scenes for it. Because I'm sort of still in a position where I'm still working every day. It's that I don't have the full amount of time to commit to it that I'd love to, but it's great that it came about, to be honest with you, because a lot of us spent the time when new box set would come out and it'd be something where we'd all get together at the BFI and everything like that. And it's a shame because this is is a great season, to be honest with you, and not
Yeah.
having that sort of get together and that celebration of the hard work and appreciation for the people that have done all this work on it, as well as the original content itself. It's a pity that there isn't that event to go with it. So we just wanted to do something, as a bunch of friends that where we could say, hey, do you know what, we appreciate, but have a bit of fun at the same time.
Yeah, and fingers crossed it might be the only box set where that will be the case, and there won't be some kind of BFI because we don't have a release date for the McCoy one, do we? But people are
No,
saying June, July time, so who knows? We could
it,
get one, we might
it,
not.
it'd be nice. It'd be nice. I don't want to jinx it. I don't
But
think
but we,
anyone wants to jinx anything, but it'd be nice.
but we do hopefully have something to look forward to coming up in April. Phantom have announced events coming up as well. They said it's sold out quick. I mean, I know obviously they have to, obviously stunt the amount of people going in, but even so, I mean, it was I think it sold out within what was it like a couple of days of it originally going up. It was very quick. I think it's only like 5 tickets left or something now, even less so
It
maybe.
must be something like that. I know that they limit the numbers to it and everything like that. So it's COVID secure and COVID safe and everything like that. But we're very lucky, the bunch of us that are going to actually get to see each other at one of these events. And it's good that they're back, to be honest with you. They really changed their model of how they do these events to fit in, to make it safe for not just the guests, but not just the attendees, but like the guests who are there signing and you're getting photo ops as well, and still have that sort of experience that's been missing for the past year. So it's tremendous stuff, and looking forward to it immensely.
Yeah,
Just
I
getting
think
out and doing something remotely normal.
yeah, it's gonna be nice because last time I did something like that was September, to be honest with you. Which I assume it must be something similar like that for you, to be honest with you.
Pretty much, yeah.
But yeah, it's kind of cool with Phantom as well because they've gone the extra mile, even because they sort of had to dial back what they can do. They've gone the extra mile, so that you don't just get like a regular social distance photo. They make it look nice and appealing with the TARDIS set, so that you won't look at that photo in years to come and think that was the COVID photo. You think, oh, it's just
Yeah,
a really
that's it.
cool variant.
That's it. They've made it look what's organic. It looks like it's meant to be like that, and it's not something like that either. So yeah.
Because because otherwise you run the risk, as I said, years to come, people will look at that photo and they'll want to get another one because they'll kind of discard that photo and find the other one out.
It could be something for the future. To be honest with you, it could be that they'll use that as a option going forward. To be honest with you, it's proved to be really popular with those people that did the ones that they were able to do last year.
Yeah, exactly.
What better one really to come back with than like a class act like Katie Manning? To be honest with you, you can't beat it. It's very well timed with the new box set, so it's the joy will be palpable in the room on the day because she just brings that sunlight out for everyone. I think that goes to these sort of things.
Yeah, exactly, and just. It's going to be exciting. Obviously, today is technically the box set day, but we don't have it to hand at the minute because that's not how pre-recording works. But I assume it's beautiful.
From the pictures that I've seen, yeah. Lee's work on those never disappoints anyway. So I know it's going to be tremendous. I look forward to flicking through the bit because I think it's people are often guilty of just like looking at the cover art, thinking, oh, the cover looks nice, looking at the disc covers, but looking through the booklets, there's a lot of extra artwork and creativity that goes into those that often gets overlooked. So yeah,
I think it's one of the sort of things where it's different to other like DVD sets, where essentially you would just get a booklet and it would just be a bunch of nothing information. There's actually a lot of craft that goes into it. The things you can read in that booklet are actually very interesting, and there's love gone into them, and you get really cool photos. It's not just an information booklet about what's on the set.
It's made by people who love the show for people who love the show, and that's why they've proved to be such the success that they have been. I don't think any sort of releases that I can think of for the longest amount of time that have garnished this much of a sort of obsessive, obsessive I suppose is a strong word, but really strong following of when they want it and everyone's got to have it. Because if you look at the resale value on them and everything like that, the scalper market, the money they go and change hands for now is just ridiculous.
Yeah, it's almost like if you're not on it, I mean, especially with the Tom Baker ones, if you're not on it on the day of pre-order, you're probably going to get very unlucky.
As soon as they go up, if you can pre-order them, I think that's it. There's no other way that you're not going to sort of then not feel disappointed because you regret it at your peril.
Yeah, there's also the advantage where most services these days not even billing you until dispatch anyway, so it's kind of just reserving. Yeah. So just for I don't unless you use PayPal, but Zoom obviously won't be a thing of the future by the looks of it, which is a sad thing. I mean, I know you haven't used Zoom before, but I think
most of my ones have always been through either as strange as it sounds, Argos. I remember when I've not had the funds to pre-order because everyone goes through those times of financial strife. I thought, right, I'll get it at Argos, and I've been lucky. I've not missed one, apart from the very first one on the original release, because I think no one expected it to take off like it did.
Yeah.
So as soon as the reissue went up, I sort of said to the other half, I said, look, this is how much the original's selling for. Let's just pre-order it now. And then ever since then, it's sort of like, as soon as it goes up, right. Because I'm not necessarily as savvy on the online shopping as she is. So I said, could you just like pre-order this for me? So then, I know I've got it. And then it's sort of like, you don't have the stress, the pressure of like, oh, am I going to miss it? Am I going to be able to get one when it comes out? You're safe in the knowledge that you've secured one and it's going to reach you. So there's a lot to be said by doing it on the day.
Yeah, I remember because obviously we met each other in April last year. So I remember when season 14 was coming out. I remember you because Adam and Mamoon missed out on one. And I remember you and him went to Argos the same day, and you got really lucky because Argos did like a second drop. And I remember you posting a video of you like putting the box set like a baby, and you're like, "Oh gosh, trolley," and you're saying that there must be a Sainsbury's trolley, and it was yeah, it was incredible. Because at that
Yeah,
point you had
that's
to
it.
that at that point as well, it was sort of like elongated because at that point you're like queuing massively outside
It
supermarkets. 'Cause
was
it was like,
the
yeah,
height of the height of the sort of or the mania of the first lockdown, to be honest with you. So yeah, I had to queue for the best part of like 20 to 30 minutes just to get into the store to pick the damn thing up. But yeah, I got it. So, and it was, yeah, like you say, there was a second drop with Argos, and it was a real struggle to get a hold of them because even those flew out really quickly. It was
yeah.
just purely by chance that I got up. I think I got up at about 6:30 in the morning, and one of my good friends messaged me and said, "Oh, they're up on Argos. Get them quick because they're going." And I literally ordered mine on my phone through Argos at like quarter to 7 in the morning. And I think by about 7:30, quarter to 8 in the morning, the stores didn't have any. So yeah, I was
Yeah,
very fortunate that morning too.
very, very similar to the PS5 situation at the minute, which is seeing a lot of
Yeah.
people have just not be able to get things. But yeah, because I remember Adam like had a pre-order, I think, with Zoom, and that was the time where Zoom like overbooked and had to cancel some orders. I think Adam was one of the unlucky ones. He got so lucky on Argos that day; he was buzzing because he thought he was going to miss
Mm.
out. And I think yeah, so that was a roller coaster. Thankfully,
Yeah, luckily we're in a network of mates, to be honest with you, where everyone sort of rallies round because no one wants to be the one that misses out. And I like to think that, yeah, if one of us couldn't get it, one of the others would help pick up the slack, and by hook or by crook, we'd find it one way. So
Yeah, so yeah, I mean, yeah, because I bought two of season 8 because our good friend Elijah wants an England variant because
mm,
they're a lot better than the ones they released in the US. And unfortunately, my season 8 is going to Cardiff, where I won't be for like another month and a half. So I didn't really want to miss out on the set and all the fun with that. So I just bought two, and I'll ship one off to him soon enough. So yeah, but yeah, it's like you say though. I think the good thing about the group as well is that like I think if there was anything, whether it be a box set, an event, like a BAFTA thing that's going on like Sasha Dewas,
yeah,
people will know about it. You know, yeah.
even stuff like the B&M figures, which is notoriously hard for getting a hold of. I think we all sort of rally round and sort of leave messages with each other to try and get a hold of bits and bobs by fair means or foul.
Yes, I mean specifically Richard. I know he's a legend at getting everyone the B&M sets. I think one time he spent a lot of money just like getting.
I saw the pictures of the parcels. It looked like his bedroom was like a DPD distribution center. There were that many cardboard boxes that he was shipping to places here, there, all over the country.
Yep. Just to wrap up the Doctor Who collection, what is the most thing you're excited for on the season 8 coming out? Whether it be a special feature, a specific episode, what's the thing you're looking forward to digging into first when you first get set?
I'm really quite basic, to be honest with you. I like to just go through the CDs in order. So I will watch the stories, then I will watch the special features on that story, and then move on to the next story. So I'm very linear in the way I do it. Some people will go back, they'll watch all the stories, then watch all the special features, or they'll watch the special features and then go back and watch the other stuff for it. What am I looking forward to? I'm looking forward to seeing. I think the Chris Chapman documentaries are always a highlight on those sets, to be honest with you, because it's not just your fanboy element. There's a bit more of a story to it. I'm looking forward to watching the Terence and Me documentary, which is with Frank Skinner.
Yeah.
And he's a big fan. If you've ever been to one of the BFI screenings, a lot of people will often see him at those or at different Doctor Who events that are in the city. And I like that. There's a little bit more of an in-depth story. There's a little bit of detail that you may not have known before, and a bit more of a personal recollection of him as a person and the people that knew him. So I always like those sort of human interest things that come with it, because I think anyone can, you can read volumes of behind the scenes gossip or production notes, I like the people stories. That's what makes it for me.
Yeah, because I remember vividly the things I think you stick with are the documentaries, things like that, because there's especially one that sticks to me is the John Nathan Turner doc. I think everyone talks about the Liz Sladen one for obvious reasons because that is heartbreaking. But the one for someone that especially didn't know a lot of stuff about John Nathan Turner, that was like an eye opener about just how rough the production was at the time. For many different reasons. And yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what.
Yeah,
how the
you
tale
got a
sticks
bit
from.
more of an insight into him. They screened that at the BFI before they did Curse of Fenric, I think, or something like that.
Was it like a
That-
supercut or was it the whole thing?
no, the documentary. They showed the entire documentary as a separate screening, a separate ticketed event before the actual screening.
Ah,
So
right.
it was at 10 o'clock in the morning. And some of us went. I went to go and see it, and it was well worth it. It's an emotional ride. Even Peter
Yeah.
Davison showed up to watch the finished product at the BFI. So it goes to show how well that he is remembered. For the good, just not just the bad, but the good stuff as well. Because there were loads of stories. Everyone knows about Doctor Who of old and everything like that. I don't need to tell anyone who's possibly listening to this, but it didn't need to do that. It actually just concentrated on him, his work, and then what happened to him afterwards. Which there's a story to be learned there. To be honest with you, for those people who haven't seen the documentary, so I don't want to ruin it, but it's well worth the watch.
Yeah, I think you'll definitely you'll leave it with a different a different look, an outlook on the 80s Who,
as him as what in essence was a showrunner before there was such a title. To be honest with you,
yeah, and the stresses and the what came with that role and the pressure that it was put on him, just crazy stuff. But yeah, well worth it. I said I think the Frank Skinner one excites me. Yeah, there's a bunch of obviously there's a Katie Manning, John Levine, Devil's End doc, which it's gonna be a lot of fun. I mean, all the sets a lot of fun, but we get a lot of good stuff. And of course, our good friend Kieran Hyman worked on the Daemons restoration for this set, which is going to be.
It's nice to sort of like as things go on, more and more of our friends sort of like have like little toes in the water with the production of these. To be honest with you, so that's quite cool. And I'm looking forward to, obviously, one that I may be visible in background shots of in the future, but let's wait and see when that one finally hits the shelves. That could be a way off.
Beef's cameo in a collection set. Who knows?
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. Round man in shorts.
Oh, well, yeah. Wouldn't be surprised if that the price for that one. Just for your fee alone. Right, Beef, what are we reviewing this week? I mean, I always ask this question that's in the title, but
it's the absolutely fantastic 2015 release of Ant-Man, directed by Peyton Reed.
Absolutely. Now, Beef, if you could describe this movie very quickly, not like a synopsis, but if you could give like a 2-sentence description, whether it be funny, whether it be serious, how would you describe the 2015 film Ant-Man?
Immensely likable, charming, and small in stature, but huge in fun.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, as Beef said, this was directed by Peyton Reed, and obviously was released in 2015, and it stars essentially, Paul Rudd, Michael Douglas, Evangeline Lilly, Corey Stoll. Those are kind of like your main four within the film. It's obviously this was a tactic to release this film after Avengers: Age of Ultron. I mean, they kind of use Ant-Man as a linchpin after every big Avengers film to just because they know he's a lot of fun. He's a reliable kind of just a comedy popcorn film that they did it the same with Infinity War, obviously, where they released Ant-Man and the Wasp.
Well, I think what makes it really good is that you've gone from a movie before that, which is Age of Ultron, which is like, not being funny, a film that is massive in scope and it's just like overwhelming, and then they basically switch it up to be a film about one guy who gets small. So it's going the opposite direction of what has preceded it.
Yeah, and I think, yeah. I think that's a perfect way to describe it. To be honest with you, um, because it's like I said, it's little in scope, but it's big on character. It's there's still high stakes for the characters within the film, and not even on a superhero level, just on a human level. Which, to be fair, we haven't really seen in the Marvel universe up to this point. Because essentially this film is about Scott's whole thing is essentially just he wants to see his daughter. He doesn't want to save the world. He's not he is a good person, but he's not exactly your perfect human being. He just wants to
Yeah,
save the world.
yeah, like you say,
He just wants to save
a
his daughter.
human
So
drama.
yeah,
It's a human drama where it's relationships with parents, their children, mentors and students. So it's like the idea of like a parent and child. And instead of being bogged down with backstory and tragic beginnings or a long drawn out thing, it actually hits the action really good, and it's a character that people don't know about. So they've brought in a new character, and they've done something that they didn't do before. Because I think what the other stories that they've tried to do, and I think when we've spoken about this previously, this isn't a traditional superhero movie either, in the sense that it's pretty much a heist movie.
it's pretty much a heist espionage. It's
it's a heist movie through basically the medium of a superhero movie.
Yeah, it's a heist movie to get a teeny tiny suit, and that's kind of the film. But I think as well, I think this they do a really good job here at the stakes are low, but it also has so much to do with the kind of the backbone of the MCU. We introduced Hank Pym and the Pym particle, and obviously Hank Pym in the comics, massive character, and they got the amazing Michael Douglas, who is amazing in this film. You can tell that he's having a great time.
The de-aging on it is really solid, to be honest with you. There's very clever tie-ins to the bigger universe, because this was a film, as you know, this is a film that was fraught with sort of some production issues, because originally it was Edgar Wright attached to it, and he left very early on in the production because there were creative differences between, I think, Disney or Marvel Studios wanted to tie it into the bigger universe. He wanted it to be a standalone film, which tends to be his style, really, doing standalone movies. But there is a lot of tie-ins to other stuff, but it doesn't feel like it's forced into it. It just it meshes with it so well.
Exactly. It's but I think that, like you said, I think they do that perfectly, but it doesn't feel too separate. It just feel like it would take place within this universe. I mean, they said there are little bits. You get like the Man for the 10 Rings in this film, little Easter eggs like that, which just kind of relate it back to. You get obviously Tony Stark's father.
Yeah, that's it. I think it gets straight into the story. For the first 20 minutes is a little bit clunky, but you don't need to worry about having. How does he discover and make the Pym particles? You don't need to do that. You can basically just accept it on point, to be honest with you, that he had this thing. They wanted to exploit it, and they do a fantastic job of de-aging Michael Douglas. That technology, even 2015, that's 5 years ago. Imagine what they're probably going to do next with that sort of stuff. But it looks tremendous, knowing how Michael Douglas used to look back in the day. It's bang on point. You've got an aged Peggy Carter, but that's prosthetic. And you have the building of the Triskelion, because that's 89, I think that's supposed to be there, which you saw destroyed in Captain America: Winter Soldier. So
yeah. So that's kind of like your introduction to the film, but I also really like your introduction to Scott, because again, it's sort of very much he's a character. I mean, because they're running off the thing of everyone knows who Paul Rudd is. He's the funny man in everything. He was in Friends. He did Anchorman. He's done I Love You Man at this point. So many good films.
Clueless. Yeah, there's Clueless, no sort of stories he's been in, and you wonder what's it's going to be, because when he starts off in, you could have it looking a very different way when you have a character that starts off in jail. That you would think that, well, how are you going to like this character?
Yeah.
But they do a very clever pivot of saying, No, he did it for a good reason. He was, an evil corporation, and he was resetting the scales of justice. But it's a magnificent piece of casting because
Yeah.
he's got that much charm and likability factor. I can't think of anyone else really in cinema
Yeah.
who has that same level of likability factor, no matter what he does.
Yeah, no, I don't think I could think of anyone as well. I think it's what I went down the right route because, in essence, as well, Ant-Man is very goofy as a concept. You know, of who's superhero the size of Ant. Like you couldn't really see like a serious actor like a Hemsworth, especially the early Hemsworth Thor stuff, take on a role like that. It would have to be someone innately funny to manage
Yeah,
it and
yeah,
make it work. You know, and like we said at the beginning with the the brutal fist fight they have in the prison in San Quentin, I think. You know, that's really cool. And then you get introduced to the fabulous Michael Pena, who is just a hoot in these films as Louise. Like I like that the scene in the RV when they're driving away. He's like, "Oh, my dad got deported."
yeah.
But I kept the RV.
But I kept the van. Yeah,
It's like,
yeah. This is his ambitions and his self-belief massively outstretch his ability, and he doesn't. Yeah, it doesn't factor into it. It's all like, yeah, I got an idea, let's do it. And it's
yeah.
boundless energy, boundless enthusiasm. You
And
warm to him immediately.
yeah, and I'd like the scenes that he has where he like over explains everything to the finest detail. They are the scenes that steal the movie all the time because they're just
Yeah,
so
everyone's got a mate who goes into, who knows a guy, who knows a guy, who knows a guy, and goes into these great long meandering tales that have basically very little story to them, but it's just their expansion of it that makes it funny. So he's a quality piece of casting there as well. I think what they've done with this as well, because if you look at the sort of screenplay and some of the writing on this as well, some of it was written by Adam McKay and Paul Rudd himself. So they've really engineered it in a clever way as well, that you've got the two writers who are very familiar with, well, Paul Rudd's very familiar with how he works, and Adam McKay is very familiar by this point of how Paul Rudd works, how his timing is and everything like that. So they've really worked the comedy angle into this as well.
Yeah, exactly. And but there's still those great emotional moments with Scott later on in the film because that's how good Paul Rudd is. I still the scene all the time, essentially where the Baskin Robbins joke always makes you laugh. Obviously, Scott comes out of prison, goes to work at Baskin Robbins, and then the guy who wants to order some hot food at Baskin Robbins always makes you laugh. And then Scott just goes, "Hey, can you sort out this idiot?" And then Dale goes, "It was a pretty cool crime, but you're fired. But you can have like a orange."
But if you want to have one of those fruit blasts on the way out, I just won't see it.
Yeah, and then when he goes up again to Louise and he goes, "Oh yeah, I got fired," and then Louise also says, "Oh yeah, Baskin Robbins always find out." It's like it's a known thing for criminals. If they go work at Baskin Robbins, they're gonna find out. But also as well, this kind of introduced the world to David Dastmalchian as well, who is now going to do amazing things. Obviously, he was in The Flash briefly. Now he's going to be in Suicide Squad. Very funny guy. His accent's a bit ropey, but apart from that,
but he makes it into a character. That's what I love. Because I was aware of Dave Dastmalchian before Ant-Man anyway, because I'd heard him on a couple of podcasts and everything like that. And he's like an old school comic book nerd in his own right. He's done a comic book series of Count Crowley, which is a bit like what's called Svengoolie, or Elvira type thing. He's done his own comic book line that he's done the last couple of years. Yeah, he's going to be in the new Suicide Squad movie with Peter Capaldi. Before
isn't he playing Polka Dot Man?
Yeah,
is that? Yeah,
yeah. He was in Gotham, the TV series, and
he was in The Flash,
also, and he was in The Dark Knight Returns.
Yep. Because it wasn't he Abracadabra in The Flash, I believe. I think.
Probably something like that. It's been so long since I've seen the Flash episode with him in. I can't actually
I
remember.
I think he's coming back. I think he's back for this season, which is
Well, that'd be cool. Like I
so
say,
good.
he turns in a memorable part in whatever he does.
It
But all the
sounds weird.
points that I'd always seen him in were like menacing, scary roles. So
Yeah,
it's quite nice to see him like do a switch up and do comedy.
it sounds weird because they're not on the same level, obviously, of popularity, but it's very similar to Mark Hamill in that aspect. When you know that Mark Hamill's going to be in a film, he's always going to deliver a very good performance. You know, whatever you're going to get, it's going to be good. You know, he's
Yeah, and
very good at.
he's another old school comic book nerd as well. So you have the guys who grew up with this sort of thing, then have the opportunity to appear in this sort of thing. They leap it and they'll take it, even if it's like a minor sort of. How many minutes is Dave just mulching on screen? And the best part, 10 minutes throughout the whole movie, but you come away and he cracks you up all the way through.
I think that's the good thing about this film is that even Scott's crew you like. I mean, bar the exception of Ti, who has like got the charisma of like a bench, but so much so that they're not bringing him back for Quantum Mania. I don't know why, but he's not back. The other two are, thankfully. But yeah, I don't know. Ti is anyone that I don't really care for because it's Ti. Um,
Yeah, there's not much for him to do apart from being the driver, to be honest with you. Michael
yeah,
Pena's got all the patter and everything like that.
I think
But
yeah, David Smalchin's got the one liners like the whole you know when they're doing the Titanic joke and he goes oh yeah that and then Michael Pena goes oh yeah that killed DiCaprio and then Ti goes everyone died he goes look the old lady with the necklace she threw it in the water
yeah,
so
that's
and obviously in the second in Ant-Man and the Wasp which I'm sure I'll bring you back to review obviously you get the whole Baba Yaga thing that he
Baba
does
Yaga. Well, it's because he comes from you get guys like that who come from what they call the old country. So yeah, it's steeped in superstition. So when they first see Scotland, it's the work of gypsies. Yeah, it's okay. Yeah, it's a little bit close to the knuckle, but it never goes over the edge insofar as humor is concerned.
but like you said, the first few minutes is a bit ropey. But the one scene that I do really like within the film is because it sets Scott's motives up perfectly. Is when obviously he goes to where his daughter lives, Cassie, and he comes in and he essentially gets ousted out immediately. And he gives her
Yeah,
this really ugly rabbit. And she's like, I love it. I tell you what,
but that's what kids are like. Kids,
yeah.
you buy
Yeah.
them an expensive present and they'll just want to play with the box. So for the fact that he gets a really ugly doll, it's something that any normal person would say, "Oh, that's just horrible," but the kids love it because it's something that's like left of center.
But also, I think one thing I remember watching this is that the actor that you know is portraying Cassie, she's very good for her age as well. She's not annoying at all. Whenever she's in the
Yeah.
scene, she's very she's very likable. You actually think she's all kind of cute. Not
Mm.
oh get off the screen, you're annoying. Like you can get in some TV shows, especially Doctor Who, some of the kid actors they get in that abhorrent. But you know, in this she's very good. I you know again I also like how they essentially map out Scott's story of like this is what he's aiming for and you get that scene of he's writing down how long it's going to take him to actually be able to build up a job, get an apartment, do child support.
He already has a moral center at the start of it because he
Yeah,
has an undeniable ability in what is right, but what he wants is astoundingly simple, which is basically just to have a relationship with his kid.
yep.
And it's the counterbalance of the two. And I think what's really good about this as well, because like we said, it's a heist movie, and while you've still got a superhero movie, you've got to have a villain, which is Cross in this. Yeah,
And who's better than Corey Stoll?
yeah, but to be honest with you, there's really not that much cop to him, but I think that's good that you don't have it in such a way that he over dominates it and takes
Oh,
over and underpins takes away from the rest of the story.
I also sort of like as well that they didn't do any convoluted thing where they related him to Scott. I sort of like the fact they related Cross to Hank instead of Scott. You know, because
Yeah,
again, it really emphasizes that Scott doesn't really have a dog in this fight, apart from the fact he wants to see his daughter. You know,
yeah,
you know, and I think it's really good. In a sense, Scott is the anti-Iron Man because Scott is already a good person in essence. He needs to just believe that and you know act on that. Whereas Tony kind of grows from being a douchebag to like a likable douchebag, you know. But yeah, I think there's obviously that really really good scene. We have like the whole it kind of introduces Corey Stoll as Yellow Jacket, and he goes "Tales to Astonish," which is a lovely Easter egg, and all that. And you say the Yellow Jacket, and one thing I don't.
If you know the comic books, what it was is, and this is also part of the good reason they focus on Scott Lang's story, because in the comic books, Hank Pym wasn't a very nice guy.
No,
and he had a bit of a for want of a better
mean
term,
streak.
like sort of, he also had a bit of a breakdown, which then led to another personality, which was the Yellow Jacket. So they've got all that sort of stuff in there, and they made Yellow Jacket the sort of the evil aspect to it. So that was quite good to have that as a focus, because you're still taking something from the source material, but you're sort of like adapting it in a way to make it a MacGuffin to the story.
Here's a tip: podcasters, don't pour a drink mid podcast because your mic will fall over.
Don't worry, you're coming through loud and clear.
I think as well, another good thing is that they do sort of, because I think a lot of people were confused as to why they didn't go with Hank. And they do sort of lead into the whole, the Pym particles affected him, because he says, I cannot wear the suit. It's hurt me too much. I cannot do it. It changed me so much, And obviously that's what happens to Yellow Jacket within this. The more he meddles with the particles, the more dark he gets. I mean,
yeah, but also it's a case of that. Yeah, he's lost a lot as a result of it. It's instead of being, it's like an opposite number to Tony Stark, like you say, that the suit is developed or the technology is developed. He made something off his own back without the degree of privilege, but through his own knowledge that Hank did this, but it was taken for something, for potentially a bad purpose, and chose to walk away than rather to just keep on with it regardless of the consequences.
Yeah, exactly. And I kind of like the whole relationship between Cross and Hank, because it's that kind of that protege, mental protege thing that we don't really get to see, but all the subtext is there in their mannerisms. You kind of understand this, Hank, there's a great line of, I saw too much of me in you.
Yeah, that's it. That's it.
There's again, even in the fact this is a light movie, there are some dark motifs. I mean, literally, what's his name? Cross in one scene just kills a guy in a bathroom, mops him up, and flushes him down the toilet. One of the most gross, disgusting scenes in the MCU.
Yeah, kills. There's a what's it called? A focus that he has. To be honest with you, when he's basically trying to do it through means of trial and error. So he kills one sheep, turns inside out, and then says, right, okay, that didn't work. Let's do test 37C. So you get the idea that he's already been through 37 iterations of this test. The consequences mean nothing to him because he's just so focused and driven on the end point. So
and there's again, they sort of, they do go for that typical route of he's just a bit of a dick, which I sort of think works in this case, because again, you don't need like you said, you don't need a massive super vessel. So there's that brilliant scene where Hope goes, I thought we were using nice, and he goes, what's the difference? Like, what's the difference? It's like, oh, don't kill a little sheep.
And you have this very good sort of, like we've already alluded to, the parallels with, I think, the first Iron Man film anyway, where you've got Jeff Bridges as Obadiah Stane, who wants to take the technology, he wants to use it, adopt it for his own, he wants to sell it on, he wants to profit from it. So you do get that sort of aspect to it as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And I go back to more of the heist aspect of it. Like, you do get this really good heist sequence where Scott goes in to Hank's house, which he doesn't know at that point. And you get this really cool sequence where they go through. There's a thumbprint thing. You see this really cool, which I don't know is realistic, but it's cool within the film.
It is, believe it or not. But it is. You get the idea that it's what would going to be an easy job then becomes something difficult. So you get the idea that he has his own ingenuity. He can do more than he gives himself credit for. So he has all this capability.
Yeah, exactly. And I think it's just I think it's kind of interesting as well that for this film it's different to the other different to the origin stories because this film's always building, whereas that's something like Iron Man. It doesn't. It's kind of very static for the first 35 minutes or so.
Yeah, you go through him making the suit. The pin particles, the suit already exists.
It's already there.
If anything, it's more like a passing of the torch because it's going from Hank finding someone who is worthy to wear the suit and can hold himself to a higher degree of account than perhaps Hank could without walking away. Pure of heart, pure of motive.
I completely agree, and I mean that like I said, like when they realize it's just a suit, it's incredible. And then you get the whole bathroom sequence, which again you do obviously like you mentioned before, it was obviously going to be originally directed by Edgar Wright, and within these scenes you do get some very Edgar Wright visuals. You can tell that they didn't just discard everything that Edgar came up with.
Yeah, because have you ever seen the test footage? The test footage is very
they use a direct shot from that, don't they? They essentially just mimic a direct shot from that in the third act. We just like a double leg take, which essentially is what Hope does to him in the training montage. This is very different to the Dark World, I realized, because we actually can talk about this one a lot compared to the Dark World. We were just like, it's a bit mediocre. This has a lot of levels to it, which maybe a lot of people don't really understand, But yeah, that training montage, I always forget that Scott gets nutted by a record player. I was like, that was suck.
Yeah, and they make it very similar as well. That even though his size goes, his density increases. So you think, well, when he falls out the side of a bath onto a bath,
and he cracks it,
any normal person would if you put it into real world size, anyone who felt that would just be a splat on the floor. But because of the density thing, and then you just accept it because it's such a fantastical thing. You think, oh right, yeah, he's in essence that size, he's indestructible.
Yeah, and then obviously you get the vacuum thing, you get the rat, which is I suppose the kind of like a little callback to Ratatouille in a way as well. It's sort of fun with obviously Doug the dog being in Ratatouille. It's a great sequence sort of introduce you to the Ant-Man powers. You get that great line. I wasn't stealing anything. I was returning something I stole. When he goes back to prison, you get the whole, Hank kind of reveals himself, and you get the ants counting down, which is really cool. I don't know how he put that suit on in 10 seconds. That still sort of bugs me in a practical sense. Like, give him at least 30 seconds, Hank. Come on, man. You know what I mean?
Well, I think it's his natural curiosity as well. So even when he's stolen the suit, it's a test because he's there in the bathroom, sort of mucking around with it, looking at the wiring, how it's all put together, and then just his own curiosity makes him try the thing on. So that's what it is.
Yeah, and then you get that really cool escape sequence where it's sort of, again, it's exposition done well because you kind of get the introduction to the whole connection with the ants, with essentially Hank controlling Anthony from miles away and guiding Scott to where he's got to go. But unfortunately, they kind of hit like a what would you call it, like a drain, and it shoots him up, and that Scott gets lightheaded. And then you sort of, that's sort of like the beginning of the film. That's sort of, now we're in the state of the film where things are picking up. Scott has not become the Ant-Man, but he's got the suit. He's ready to go. And now we just got to get things in place. And again, this film's really good at shocking you because you would think, oh, the second act is just going to be high setup, which is going to be a lot of talking. But no, you do get a cool Avengers sequence in this, which is a nice surprise. But as well,
I think once you've been through the training montage and you think, well, what's going to be the sort of test of his powers? It doesn't jump straight into the heist. It's sort of like, well, there's this thing that we need, and you don't expect it then to clash with an Avenger, and then it sets him up in his own right. Then it then gives him what's that word? Not sort of latitude, but it gives him his own sense of status. To be honest with you,
yeah, it kind of in a sense, because Scott's a total
agency. That's the word.
He's not like a total joke within the film, but the fact that he can go toe to toe with Falcon again, like you say, kind of gives him this legitimacy as well, that he's good enough to be the Ant-Man. Because before this, you kind of see him you see him go through a keyhole and stuff. You don't see him in a fighting sequence. It's kind of cool that his fight sequence is against an Avenger like Falcon. And I really like Falcon as a character. Actually, I think he's kind of cool.
Yeah.
And I'm excited for Falcon and Winter Soldier in the next.
That's it, because it's understated as well, because it's sort of like he's starstruck because it's like this Avenger. Hey, don't know me, but big fan. And then you go through all that, and then it's underplayed by a gag line at the end, which is sort of like, don't tell Cap anything about this, because he's just got his ass handed to him by a guy who's about an inch tall. So there's such cool aspects to it, but also what's done amazingly effectively as well is that where you have Hank's backstory of how Hope's mum goes, it foreshadows it. It sets a limit to the powers.
Yeah, I think that's a good thing as well, because Ant-Man, in a sense, he's not limitless. He's not Captain Marvel levels, but he is, obviously, because then you get Giant Man in Civil War as well, which is like another power set, which some people may perceive that as being overpowered. I think thank God we don't see it in this film, because I think it wouldn't make sense. But again, they use Scott really well in this film because he doesn't do anything outside of the skill set you would already think he has. And they use Hope really effectively here as well, because even though Hank Pym's a bit of a tight ass, you can see that Hope is good enough to be Ant-Man, or the Wasp as she becomes later on. She's already there. You don't question her. You know that she is. And again, that family drama between Hope and Hank is very good, because Evangeline Lilly and Michael Douglas actually have very good chemistry. Like when they're in an argument. I mean, Evangeline Lilly's great in this film anyway.
You get the idea that there's a resentment there about what happened with her mother, but also it's you can see both sides of the argument. You can see Hank's argument that he doesn't want to put his daughter in danger, even though he's in the full knowledge that she has all the abilities that needed to carry out the task at hand, but doesn't want to put her in danger and lose her like he did his wife. In the same way, she resents him, but is willing to put that aside because she knows what Cross is going to do is going to be ultimately bad. So they both have to set aside their doubts for the same reason.
And you have the really good scene. Obviously, the training montage is just kind of interesting. The ants that are going to be useful in the heist. It's essentially a lot of fun exposition. It's exposition, but done really fun, because Scott's afraid of some of the ants, and you get a massive gnome and things like that. But then you get that really good scene where Scott's trying to put the sugar into the tea, and he can't do it, and then Hope's does it instantly, and she covers the lights, and it's like, then you get that really good scene in the car where it kind of becomes full circle, because Scott essentially tells Hope the reason you want to do this is because I'm expendable. That's like a massive moment in the film, and that obviously gives Scott the power to do the coin. Spins the coin with the ants, sets everything in motion, and everything gets going. And then unfortunately, they're like, we need some more people, and you get the brilliant gang back together, Michael Pena and the crew are back. That line,
they realize that there's more they need more people, and it's sort of like, well, who are we going to get to do it? It's like, okay, we've got no choice, but we're going to have to use these guys.
And it's sort of, I love Michael Douglas's reaction, but it's again, like, I love Louise's line of, oh, it's not often you rob a house and you get invited back. And then, like, Scott's like, calm down. He's like, I'm sorry, but your girlfriend's really hot. I mean, you are really pretty, but it's really funny. And then you kind of get the scene where Scott introduces himself as Ant-Man, and he's like, Daddy, don't get scared, and he runs away crying, and it's just really good. Right. So, like I was saying, I think it's just really cool that every time they have these character moments, that it's not just, they don't just go for the obvious decisions, like, even though, Louise is in turn a dumb character, he still has his smarts. He's not just like ridiculously idiotic. They don't just go into, they're not just caricatures. They have levels to them, which sort of is why they're so endearing.
Everyone has a part to play, and then obviously as the job goes on, it's done and played out like a heist movie. So as they're telling them, as they're going through the roles of, like, he's got to be the security guard, then as it's being relayed, you see it happening on screen. So it's also a superb exposition way of doing it, to be honest with you, while not sort of looking forced.
Yeah, exactly. And obviously this is going down on the basis that obviously Hope and Cross, obviously, very close. They work together, and this, and obviously, I think Cross is planning on selling off the yellow jacket or trying
Yeah,
to make some money off it.
yeah, to
And
Hydra of all people. Yeah,
of course. And you had this really intense scene actually, which I skipped over, where where Cross turns up at Hank's house, out of the blue, unexpectedly, and obviously it's revealed that he was going to kill him then, but he knew that Hope was there. He was just going to shoot him. Again, there's kind of those moments where Cross is a good villain, because a lot of people, he's not obviously on the top of everyone's list for many reasons, because he's not like a Thanos level threat. In a sense, he's sort of very minimalistic, kind of similar to like Ironmonger in a sense.
yeah.
I would say better though, because Jeff Bridges' turd at Iron Man kind of comes out of nowhere in a strange way. Whereas in this, it's sort of set up from the beginning.
I think both of them have this sense of entitlement that they were denied something because they were sort of
Not good enough.
they were the second guy and had the chances. Had they have been given what they were due, they would have got more to it. So there's that inbuilt resentment from their mentor, be it or their partner, their business partner. So I think there is that similarity between the two.
Yep.
And I think by the time that he knew all along that they were going to try and steal the suit. He's already worked out who Scott is by the time that they get to actually trying to grab the suit.
Yeah, exactly. And you get the really cool. Every part of the heist makes sense again because of the good exposition where they're explaining every individual ant midway through the film. That every single one of those ants makes sense. I mean, this film even makes you feel sad for the death of an ant when fucking Cross just shoots Anthony, and it's so
you have that beautiful image of just that one sort of separated wing twirling around and falling.
And he's like, all right, now he's like, I'm going to get you now. He's like, but also as well, they in this sequence, they really, for like the whole third act, they really are very smart with how because they've got a very unique way of doing action in this film. So you've got the whole
having it on two levels. The way they follow it from like an over the shoulder perspective, a tiny size, and the scope, and then when they do shrink it down, the framing, instead of it being like on an eye level, is done from a lower level, and it really gives you the scope of everything as well. So the way it's shot is done tremendously well.
Exactly, and you also get it's not an easy heist. Like in most films, what you would get is essentially everything would go well until the very end, which is kind of what happens here. But they always stumble. It's not a clean heist. There's always small bits going on wrong type thing. It's not always going right. Like early on, you already have the laptop just isn't going as fast as they want to. Let alone the fact then that Cross already knows what they're doing. He's already on it. It's you have many levels to the heist. It's not just your simple heist film where everything seems to be going well until the very end and it goes wrong and then they fix it anyway. It's those sorts of things.
And then it just builds up to what seems like a really natural conclusion anyway, to be honest with you, is that then you have your two main protagonists in suits duking it out.
Yeah, and you have this really good scene. Obviously, they think they're going to get the suit, but he's already got there. Cross knows what's going on. He's put the lasers back up. Scott's stuck inside this globe, and then a fight ensued, and Hank gets shot. And do you know what? It's actually a very good fake out death because for a second you think he is dead. He's not, thankfully. And I'm actually happy that
he has plans within plans, which is always having that he's still got the ace up his sleeve. That even though he's retired from actually being the guy shrinking stuff and everything like that, he's always kept something in his back pocket in case of the eventuality.
Which in this case is a fucking tank.
Yeah.
But like I said, it's a really good. You get the kind of the first bit of action between Cross and Scott, And then obviously they get into the suits, they go into the airplane, you get a really cool, like, briefcase sequence where he's like, I'm gonna kill you. And it's like and then the song starts playing, and they
Yeah.
randomly go into like this family's pool, and it's
Well,
like,
that's it. You get the idea that there's this massive great fight on, and I love the way that they do it. It's like running up the phone, setting off the cure, and the song is like quite pertinent to the film as a whole anyway. The idea of them being sort of small and everything like that.
yeah, and you have
Yeah,
like,
then it's juxtaposed by the case of the case just falling in some random family swimming pool with the tiniest of plink as it falls in.
but also they having this really serious fight, like, with the juxtaposition. Like there's like Mentos in the suitcase as well that's fighting around. Like it's so
Yeah,
strange.
it's like Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, but taken to the next level.
Yeah, and obviously when they get into this family's like back garden, you get the really good shot of Scott using the ping pong paddle to put Yellow Jacket into the bug zapper. But unfortunately, what's his face, the policeman guy, I can't remember his name. I watched it literally today, but I can't remember his name. He comes down, tases Scott, and puts him in the back of the
Yeah,
police
and
car.
then
It's like,
again, you still get the feeling that Scott's sort of being harshly judged as well, which yeah. And at that point, you sort of have a like flitting
yeah,
between small and large, and you see the Yellow
yeah.
Jacket suit, which technologically is massively outmatching Scott in his suit. But the big fundamental flaw, which Hank happened to mention earlier, is the regulator, which then you know that the longer the guy's in the suit, the more unhinged he becomes because it's going to alter his brain chemistry.
Yeah, exactly. And I think as well, the good thing is about the policeman character as well, is that he's not a total dick. Like you don't just hate him.
Yeah,
He's got validation. He wants to protect Cassie because obviously he's come into this family. He thinks Scott's for good reason. He thinks Scott's quite dangerous. He's not. He can't be trusted. You know, and
yeah,
there's some.
you dislike him because he's being mean to the guy that you like, but at the end of the day, you can also understand his motivations. So there's no one apart from really Cross, or is it the guy who used to work for Shield and is now working for Hydra to sell the tech. Those are the two most unlikable people in the film, and you don't like them for the pure reason is that they're just bad people.
Yeah, and then obviously Cross attack. Well, he doesn't attack Cassie, but he kind of like terrorizes Cassie. They know he's there, and that brings Scott and he's in the police car, but obviously they all go to where Cassie is, and Scott does that really good sequence.
He realizes that he's taken everything. Scott's taken then everything from him, so he wants to take the one thing that matters to Scott away from him, which is his kid. So yeah.
Yeah, and you get that really good thing where Scott's trying to get the helmet on, he manages to get it, and then just one of the most fun fight scenes in MCU history with the Thomas the Tank face. Because a really good thing as well, they know how silly it is. Because every time you think it's really dramatic, they'll cut away to a wide shot where it just looks so silly, like
or an oversized ant just scuttling around, like a giant dog.
Yeah, and that guy goes, "That's a weird looking dog." And also, obviously, you get Louise and the gang. They pop up. And they're like, "Scott, our boy needs our help." And they just think about a police and they're like, "Yo, turn the van on, turn the van on, turn the van on. We gotta go." So a brilliant bit of comedy, which kind of just writes them off for the rest of the film. But that last fight scene, man, I mean, not only is it one of the most fun scenes, also one of the most harrowing scenes. Obviously, we've had the build up where you had that scene earlier on where Hank was like, "Do not mess with the regulator," as you mentioned. The quantum realm, there was minimum references to it. And then obviously you get that really, really cool sequence where Scott realizes he has to go between the atoms to get through the Yellow Jacket suit.
Yeah, he has to go take the path that he knows has already been, massive loss, and that he's willing to sacrifice himself for his kid, for her own safety. It's that massive choice that he makes, not knowing that he's ever going to get out of it, but he's willing to do it because it's his kid.
And I think visually as well, it's one of the more stunning sequences, because I know obviously they delve into it more in Doctor Strange, these weird visual cues again. But I think this is actually a really good interpretation of the quantum realm because it's so empty whilst being so vibrant and so interesting. But also, you get like the echoes. You kind of even see, if you don't know, there's a little Easter egg of the Wasp in. You can see the Wasp very briefly as he goes to the quantum realm as well.
Really?
There's
I know, like the appearance of it and everything like that. It looks like sort of chromatographs and everything like that, and it is to a certain degree sort of quite accurate. The smaller it gets, it is to a certain degree. There's a certain element of scientific accuracy to it as well.
yeah,
So
and
that's
obviously
quite cool.
they even expand on that in the second film with like the tardigrades and things like
Mm,
that, which is really cool. Like the quantum cities, which is probably where Kang is in the obviously going to be in Quantum Mania.
mm.
But yeah, just a really good ending. And you get the moment where obviously he uses the disc, comes back up, he's back, and again at that point it's
But
just a really
he does the one thing he's told not to do, but it's the
and
one thing that
changes the regulator.
redeems it, is that he messes with the regulator, but it's what sucks him out. Yeah,
Yeah,
but
exactly.
by then, you know, that's what the good thing, because he's got like a degree in mechanical engineering or something like
Yeah,
that. So
again,
also he's not like super genius and entitled with it like Tony Stark, but he
but he's
has got a
smart.
degree. But he's
He's smart.
smart. Yeah,
He's not just a dumb, funny superhero, which in a sense
yeah,
is sort of what Peter Quill is. But I think Chris Pratt can sort of pull that off with the
yeah,
swagger, because that's something that Paul Rudd doesn't really have the swagger. You know,
yeah.
he's just sort of a goof, but he knows the way to get around.
Mm-mm.
But yeah, you obviously get the really cool ending where they work the dinner table, that sort of thing. You know, and
Yeah,
obviously
that's everyone gets a happy ending that should get a happy ending in this.
even Hope and Hank, you know, they
Yeah,
reconcile.
they reconnect and everything like that. Yeah,
Exactly. I think it's just one of those perfect sort of endings, and obviously you get the really funny scene where you like Hank opens the door and he sees Hope and Scott kissing, and Scott does a really funny thing. He goes, I don't know what she was doing, man. She just jumped on me, started kissing me, and then you have the great line, "You're full of shit," and he goes, "Yep." It's just it's really good fun, and obviously then you get the perfect ending where voice cracker, fucking hell, you get the perfect ending where obviously you get another Louise breakdown of essentially the Falcon wants to find you for
yeah.
something, which obviously then sets up Civil War. Because you don't really get a Civil War setup post credits in this. You get a scene from the film, but you don't actually get a Civil War setup, as it were. This is sort of
Yeah,
this kind of fills the void.
but it's a fantastic callback, because then you've got Bucky, Cap, and Falcon, and it's sort of like all he says around it says, "I know a guy," and because you've heard him, Michael Pena, relaying this same line all the way through these two fantastic setup tales, that when he says that, you get the joke straight away.
Exactly. Yeah, it's perfect. It's just it's just like that the whole. I think this film is actually very underrated within the MCU. You know, because I think it's going for a lot less, but what it's going for, it does very well. You know.
Yeah,
Yes,
that's it. It's got the charm factor. That's it. You can't help but not relate to the characters and want them to succeed.
I think the issue is after the last three films, where essentially you've had Captain America, the Winter Soldier, which kind of reshaped Shield. You had Guardians, which introduced them in Infinity Stone. You had Avengers: Age of Ultron, which was just a big blockbuster, and then you have this. It sort of feels a bit strange. And obviously, then after this, you get Civil War. You know, it's kind of its own little universe, as it were. I think it's a
Mm.
great film. I think it's a lot of fun. I think it goes at a blip. When I was watching this, it didn't feel like 2 hours had passed.
Yeah, and you can, to be honest with you, you can still watch it without having watched any of the others and not feel perplexed as well. So if you wanted
And
to have it as like an entry
the
level,
only scene where you would struggle is the Avengers compound, but that's like a very minimalistic sort
yeah,
of
yeah. And to be
rest.
honest with you, if you haven't heard about the film, you sort of get an idea because it's so much in the public thing, in the public domain anyway.
Exactly. But yeah, Beef. Any other comments you want to make on the film? We give ratings or anything like that? Anything that we may have missed still?
No, I just think it's really solid all the way through. It doesn't, where you think the effects of someone being small could look cheesy, it doesn't. It all seems like, unbelievable is the wrong word, but it doesn't look
Yeah.
crappy for crappy sense. You sort of you can relate to it and think, yeah, I can understand why this is happening. You don't have to have like big information dumps. You don't have to have lots of exposition. And
Yeah, I
it all
get.
flows together really well. And the comedy is just so well timed. It is just so well timed.
Yeah, I think as well. I think this is why Kevin Feige is a genius because he understands that some things in comics are ridiculous, and you are allowed to make fun of that, but at the same time, it doesn't take away from the experience.
I think. Oh, the other thing that I think that we haven't mentioned that I think is quite a nice effect as well is the shrinking and the enlarging effect, because you have like a sort of an echo effect as they shrink.
Oh yeah, so very cool.
Because that's when they would do it in the comic books. You know, how can you have someone go from that size to that size? So you get an idea of that. So that's like making a living comic book image on screen. It's like a panel on screen, which when they do that in the movies, they do it extremely well. I would be interested to know what a Edgar Wright version of this film would be like, just out of my own personal curiosity.
Yeah, I feel like he would have done that, especially, I mean, his direction style, I feel like would really suit an Ant-Man film, for sure. I mean, not that Peyton Reed doesn't do a good job, as we've said before. He's an incredible job. But, like, I feel like his direction style would be so cool with his quick cuts and all that kind of, his swift movements. And also, I think, especially an Edgar Wright, Paul Rudd Ant-Man film would be in
because didn't if this was like, I think, a really good road test for Peyton Reed as a director, because didn't he? What did he went on to direct one of the bigger ones?
Not in the MCU, but
I'm sure. What did he go on to direct after this?
Ant-Man and the Wasp.
Yeah, but there was another one after that he's done as well. I'm sure.
I don't think he's not done a Marvel film. I know that much. It might be like a blockbuster. He's not done another Marvel film.
I'm very surprised at that. Like I say, I think there's going to be more to see of him as time goes on. Oh yeah, no, that's what he did. He did 2 episodes of The Mandalorian. That's what it was that I saw that he'd done, and one of the episodes of The Mandalorian that he directed was The Rescue, which was I think it was like one of the last episodes of the season, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Which, if memory serves.
He's got a very good visual eye.
Well, yeah, that'll give you an idea. Yeah, the last thing he directed, The Rescue, which was the last episode of The Mandalorian, where, spoilers if you haven't seen it by now, tough, is where Luke Skywalker shows up.
Yeah.
So that gives you an idea.
I feel like you couldn't really avoid it. I'm just sort of like Agatha all along. If somehow you avoided that, then sorry.
But, that's it. So he's got a style that really, really works.
Also,
that was a fantastic episode.
Also, if you're wondering why me and Beef aren't talking about last episode of WandaVision, we're recording this on Thursday, so literally we're just before that's set to drop. So
mere hours away, yeah.
So me and Adam will be talking about that next week on the Captain America Civil War podcast. So it all kind of fits in. But yeah, Beef, if you had to give us a rate out of 10, what would you give? Because
I've got to give it a serious 9, to be honest with you. I'm very close to.
I'm inclined to agree.
9.5.
I'm inclined to agree because
apart from the sort of a little bit of clunkiness in the first 20 minutes, it's damn solid.
Yeah, it's fun.
I can't really fault anyone's performance in it, because it is all massively serviceable.
Yeah,
and massively. Engage.
Yeah, the only person I don't really like is T.I., but he's not in it enough to annoy me, so it's fine.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, I'd agree with that. Yeah, not a 9, pushing 9.5. Think, yeah, will Ant-Man and the Wasp be the same? Who knows? I'll definitely bring Beef back for that one, because symmetry is what we like on this channel. Also, Beef, you have to come back and do Ragnarok as well, which I think we'll have a lot of fun with.
Massively, yeah.
Just to cap off the Thor. I do need to bring you on to do a Doctor Who, but that does also bring me on to this Friday is going to be one of the strangest drunk watch songs to ever be released ever, because we're recording it tomorrow night. But what, Beef? Can you kind of tell the people what we're doing, because it's a bit mental.
Well, it's the classic. It's how many Nymons have you seen today?
Exactly.
And to be honest with you, by the time we get to the end of it, we'll be seeing double. So the amount of nights we'll be able to see will be significantly increased.
Absolutely. Will somebody Chunder? Will Beef black out again? Who knows? But
I'll be covering one eye and trying to sort of
yeah,
focus. That's it.
it's going to be a fun night. But also, Beef, thank you so much for joining me. Anything you want to
It's
plug?
always a
Anything you want to
pleasure.
say? Anything you want to say?
Nothing at all. I think we've done what we've come here to do and had a good time talking about it.
Absolutely. Thank you guys so much. All I will say is check out the YouTube channel. If you check out all the Attack the Box stuff, if you didn't do the watch time, I believe there is some stuff that will be released. Oh shit. My mic drops. Yeah, I believe there'll be some stuff that'll be released. So do go and check out the hashtag. There would have been some great tweets, some great gifts. Just go and view it. Like whenever Emily cooked as a watchdog, there was always some really good stuff to look back on. I'm sure that'll be the same with this. So hashtag Attack the Box. Even if you didn't
I
do
think
live,
if it gives people the interest to go back and see something that perhaps they've not seen in a long time, or they're watching it for the first time, there's Brit. They'll have had the BritBox. They'll have had hopefully the box sets if they've been lucky enough to get one in time. Yeah, it's a great story and it's always worth revisiting once in a while. It's been a very long time since I've watched it, so it's going to be a bit of a trip down memory lane for me anyway.
absolutely. All right. Well, thank you guys so much and cheers for that. And we'll see you all very soon. Take care.
Bye bye.